Not very happy. Look at her charging at me.
Bears creatures that may seem slow and lumbering, yet they are the silent nightmares of the wild. Behind that massive frame lies a calculating mind and a body primed to unleash power when the moment is right. Bears don't hunt recklessly. They wait, they observe, then strike with a precision that even seasoned predators fear. From salmon-filled streams to the grassy plains where moose roam, bears appear like phantoms, sudden, decisive and unrelenting. And when confronted by wolves, pumas, or even fellow bears, they never back down. Each encounter becomes a test of raw survival instinct. This is the bear's world where instinct rules and only the strongest deserve to endure. But in this ruthless game, even the bear can become the hunted. When territory is invaded, food runs scarce, or males clash for the right to mate. What happens then? Stay with us. The most breathtaking showdowns are just beginning. On a sandy riverbank deep in Alaska's wilderness, a male grizzly rests in peace until another bear storms in, launching a sudden challenge. Within seconds, the two collide in a violent tangle, wrestling and striking across the sand. No roars, just sheer force and raw instinct unleashed. They rear up, slashing and biting with relentless fury. Each blow shakes the ground beneath them. Then, just as quickly as it began, they stop. No winner, no retreat. Only silence and the tense stillness between two titans of the wild. A peaceful morning at a lake in Glacier National Park was suddenly shattered. A mother moose wading through the cool shallows was caught off guard. A grizzly bear emerged from the dense tree line. It crept toward the water with measured steps, but the moose mother quickly sensed danger. Without hesitation, she turned and charged. With rare tenacity, she drove the bear into a full retreat. The chase surged toward the roadside, startling nearby tourists. The grizzly bolted across the road, plunged down a watery embankment, and vanished into the distance, never once looking back. It wasn't just a fierce counterattack, it was a display of wild maternal power, a mother willing to risk everything to protect her young. In Katmai's early morning mist, two adult brown bears come face to face in a damp, marshy clearing. No warning growls, just a sudden charge and the clash begins. Claws rip into flesh. Roars echo through the still air. One bear tries to dominate, the other strikes back with equal fury. Powerful throws send mud and water flying, their thick coats streaked with fresh gashes. This isn't a random encounter, it's a contest for dominance. In Alaska's unforgiving wilderness, only the truly powerful lead.
Not very happy. Look at her charging at me.
Oh, in front of me.
A snow-covered road in Alberta, Canada. a driver suddenly encountered a grizzly bear family, a mother and her 3 cubs near the roadside. As the vehicle approached, the mother bear abruptly turned and charged forward. For a tense moment, it looked like a collision was imminent. But then she stopped. Not to attack, but to warn. It was the reflex of a mother ready to do anything to protect her young.
She was mad. She was mad. Look at that. That was...
The moment a lone brown bear was spotted trudging across the snowy terrain, the grey wolf pack sprang into action. Without hesitation, they launched a coordinated assault, flanking from multiple angles and applying relentless pressure. Quick, precise bites targeted the bear's flanks and hind legs, knocking it off balance. In just seconds, the momentum swung toward the attackers. Strong but solitary, the bear tried to defend itself, spinning to keep attackers in view. But the wolves were relentless, exploiting every gap, never letting up. This wasn't just a hunt, it was a calculated ambush. One wolf darted in to test the defense, then retreated. Another lunged from behind. The bear growled and twisted, trying to hold its ground, but each move was met with razor-sharp reflexes. This was a chess match of survival where every step counted. It wasn't just a display of predation, but a testament to wolf intelligence, perseverance, and teamwork. And yet the bear, alone outnumbered under siege, stood firm. It didn't collapse. It adapted. A fierce symbol of endurance in the brutal wilderness of the north. A tranquil morning near the lake by the Many Glacier Hotel quickly turned breathless. A mother deer who had already lost one fawn not long ago now stood guard over her only remaining calf. Then came the grizzly, slow, calculated. Its steps unhurried, but its eyes are locked on the target. This bear knew the scent of this family, and today it returned to finish what it had started. But the doe did not flinch. With no escape, no other choice, she stood her ground. And when the bear drew closer, the unthinkable happened. The mother charged, decisive, desperate. The bear backed off, then turned, and fled up the mountain into colder, barer ground, retreating from the unexpected resistance. That charge wasn't just instinct. It was a warning. In the wilds of Katmai, a dramatic encounter unfolds, captured in real-life documentary footage. A massive male bear charges toward a mother and her 2 cubs. In the chaos, one cub is hurled from the mountain's edge, tumbling down a rocky slope. The mother reacts instantly, rushing in to defend, only to be thrown back down the hill by the attacking male. The second cub scrambles up the ridge to escape. It seems like a total defeat, but the mother isn't finished. Driven by fierce instinct, she recovers and returns, not fleeing, but standing her ground. She places herself between the threat and the place where her cub just vanished. Facing a larger, stronger rival, she growls, ready to fight. The standoff intensifies. Then at last, the male retreats, unwilling to challenge a mother, willing to risk everything. But the story isn't over. With the danger gone, the mother begins searching for her lost cub. Sniffing, listening eyes darting, she follows the slope.
Wait.
Moments later, from the bottom of the hill, the cub reappears, climbing back to her side. Their quiet reunion after a moment of life or death tension is a powerful testament to the strength of maternal instinct in Alaska's untamed wilderness. Amid the snow-covered wilderness of Yellowstone, a rare scene was captured on December 29, 2019, a time when most grizzlies are deep in hibernation. But this time, a lone male grizzly was still active and found himself surrounded by the Junction Butte wolf pack. At first, the wolves had taken down a moose, but when they returned to claim their prize, they discovered the grizzly had arrived first, boldly taking the carcass as his own. Despite outnumbering him, the wolves were cautious in the face of this massive intruder. They didn't attack. They encircled him, growled, watched from multiple angles, calculating whether the meal was worth reclaiming. The bear stood his ground muscles taut, eyes locked on every movement around him. And then patience paid off. One by one, the wolves retreated. Eventually, the entire pack gave up, leaving the grizzly alone with the stolen feast. It was a striking example of Yellowstone's unwritten law. In 80% of bear-wolf encounters, the bear comes out on top. A panicked deer bolts through the forest. Behind it, a black bear charging forward with silent determination. No roar, no warning. Just a heart-pounding chase through dense woodland. The deer tries to escape but crashes into a tree and collapses. The bear moves in slow, deliberate. The hunt ends not with force but with the prey's fatal mistake. Near a wooded slope in the Alaskan wilderness, two adult male grizzlies come face to face. One is roaming, the other approaching. Tension crackles instantly. Seconds of silence, then chaos. They clash, dragging each other into an open clearing. No roars, just raw dominance erupting. Rising onto hind legs, they swipe, bite, and slam into one another with earth-shaking force. After a brutal exchange, one retreats, surrendering the territory. The fight ends, but the echoes of their power and the wild lore it affirms linger long after the dust has settled. Upon arriving at Yellowstone National Park, we witnessed the unthinkable. A young bear suddenly charged at a full-grown bison in the middle of a vast meadow. No stalking, no warning, just pure instinct erupting in the wild. The bear clamped onto the bison's hind leg, trying to bring it down with its claws and sharp teeth. The bison kicked and bucked, struggling to escape as a cloud of dust rose from their violent clash. Then the unexpected happened. The bison fought back. It spun around and slammed its horns forward, forcing the bear to retreat. The tide turned, and now the hunter became the hunted. But the drama wasn't over. Refusing to give in, the bear lunged again, this time targeting the bison's back. Calm but resolute, the bison made its way toward a wooden bridge that crossed down to the river's edge with the bear still in pursuit.
Tricky hike for the...
Their battle spilled onto the bridge, then into the icy river below. You'd think the bear would give up in the rushing water, but it kept going all the way into midstream.
This side of the river isn't good. But that bison...
Neither side won, but neither truly lost. In the frigid waters of Yellowstone, bear and bison exposed the limits of their strength and the sheer will to survive. Grand Teton in the heart of a freezing winter. A weary elk collapses onto the snow antlers, shed no strength left, no escape in sight. And then, the bear arrives. At first, it only watches from a distance. But as the elk lies helpless, panting, too exhausted to resist, the bear begins to approach. This isn't a traditional hunt. It's a quiet takeover dictated by nature's brutal hierarchy. The bear isn't in a hurry. It assesses the scene, sniffs, and gently prods the elk. And then, the inevitable moment comes. The elk struggles once more, a last desperate effort, but it's futile. Its gaze drifts into the void as its body gives in. This haunting encounter, though heartbreaking, reflects the raw cycle of life in the wild, where mercy doesn't exist and survival is the only law. An end for one, a beginning for another. As dusk settled over Alaska's wilderness, a family of moose quietly made their way through a sparse forest, heading toward a stream at the base of the mountain. All seemed calm, but something in the air felt off. From the underbrush, a shadow emerged. A grizzly bear northern predator, cold and relentless, stepped out with a steady gait and unblinking focus. Its eyes locked on the slow-moving trio, a mother and her two calves. It charged. But just as danger peaked, the mother wheeled around, a reaction born of past loss. She didn't flee, she stood her ground. Her sudden, powerful advance forced the grizzly to retreat. The bear wasn't done. Minutes later, it returned, more cautious now, aiming for the weakest. But again, the mother stood between. And again, the bear turned away. The chase continued over slick rocks and across wide open valleys. Each step from the mother moose carried not just defense, but a clear message. Stay away from my young. Finally, the family reached the stream. The grizzly was gone. In the fading light, life had endured not through might, but through courage, instinct, and a mother's unwavering will. Across the vast expanse of Hayden Valley, a grizzly bear emerged, powerful, silent, and focused. Among the grey sagebrush-covered fields, a herd of elk grazed quietly, unaware of the threat moving closer. This wasn't a reckless charge. Grizzlies are opportunists, known for stealing kills from wolves. But today, this one set its sights on something alive. An unusual moment began to unfold. The herd was cornered and the chase began. The elk ran, fear surging through the open plains. None were caught. But this wasn't just a lucky escape, it was a warning. The calving season had begun, and vulnerable newborns were still hidden in the sagebrush. The grizzly failed today, but will it return tomorrow, and next time, will the herd be as fortunate? For now, Hayden rests in momentary peace, until the cycle of survival spins again. Do you think this bear will come back? And next time, will the outcome change? Don't look away from Yellowstone's wild frontier.
Excuse me.
In the remote Lamar Valley, one of Yellowstone's wildest frontiers, a fierce struggle is underway. The Junction Butte wolf pack has just brought down prey. But before they can savor their hard-earned meal, a young grizzly arrives unexpectedly. It claims the carcass and feasts for hours. But the story doesn't end there. A larger bear approaches. This time the wolves refuse to stand by. They rush forward, howling, stalking and circling the towering newcomer. What follows is a clash of strategy and nerve between some of nature's most elite predators. But in the end, strength wins out. The big bear drives off both the smaller grizzly and the wolf pack. Now the spoils belong to it alone in the heart of the snow-covered valley. A cold morning in the northern forest. Two wolves were feasting a rare success in a harsh season. But then, a third presence changed everything. A fully grown grizzly bear twice their weight approached. No rush, no threats, but its presence alone was a statement. One wolf tried to defend the prize, but a swift snap from the bear sent it backward. This wasn't a fight, it was a demonstration of dominance. In the deep woods, the strongest don't always need to hunt. Sometimes showing up at the right moment is all it takes. In the shallow waters of a mountain lake, a bull elk struggles to cross. It swims in haste, unaware that behind it, a black bear is silently closing in. Suddenly, the bear charges from behind. The ambush sends the elk into a panic, thrashing through the murky water in a desperate attempt to escape. But the bear is too strong. It pins the elk midstream, giving it no chance to fight back. Each bite is precise. Every movement deliberate, a masterclass in the black bear's predatory instinct. The struggle lasts only seconds, yet it captures the essence of survival. In the wild, where hesitation has no place, a single mistake can decide everything.
Just run around the rosy. Okay, well, this way.
That thing was eyeing you up.
As the first light of morning crept through the valley, a dramatic scene unfolded. A massive bull moose was swimming across the Yellowstone River with none other than Grizzly 791 in pursuit. The grizzly thundered down the riverbank, water spraying in its wake. The moose thrashed through the freezing current and in a desperate moment turned to fight. With all its remaining strength, it swung its antlers at the bear, trying to drive it back. A fierce struggle erupted between the two giants, a raw display of survival instinct from prey refusing to surrender. But the grizzly's sheer power and endurance quickly turned the tide. Within minutes, it overpowered the moose midstream. Yet the story didn't end there. Grizzly 791 hauled the moose's body through the racing waters, each step slow but unyielding. It was a moment of pure primal wilderness, where instinct, strength and will collided in a brutal fight for survival. A peaceful morning across the Yellowstone plains was suddenly broken. A lone grizzly massive weighing hundreds of pounds ambled through the valley, drawn by an unfamiliar scent. In the distance, shadows flickered past like whispers. Sharp ears, piercing eyes. A small group of wolves crossed into view. The bear rose onto its hind legs, towering a warning display. But it didn't know. The entire pack was closing in. Curiosity became a threat. Encircled by a growing number of wolves, the bear growled and swiped in defense. But coordinated, relentless strikes sent it staggering. The air thickened with tension, raw instinct versus calculated precision. After minutes of fierce resistance, the bear understood. The odds had shifted. It didn't flee but backed away, retreating slowly toward the cover of the forest, dodging final bites as it slipped into the icy trees. This wasn't surrender. It was wisdom. In the wild, knowing when to retreat is sometimes the greatest form of survival.
There's a white one. There's a white one. There's a white one.
Look at her. She's right there.
A massive bear emerged, roaring in an attempt to intimidate. But the wolf pack stood firm, closing in from multiple directions. Quick, coordinated bites to its hind legs and flanks threw the bear off balance. Despite its size and power, it was forced to retreat in disarray. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a lesson in survival through unity. In the wild, strength alone is never enough. Sometimes it's strategy and teamwork that win the day. Amid the vast expanse of snow and ice, a white shadow moved in silence. It was a female polar bear, gaunt from hunger, but her eyes burned with resolve. At this time of year, only 1 in 20 hunts ends in success. But failure isn't an option. She must continue. To stay undetected, the bear circles wide, using the wind to mask her scent. Up ahead, a seal rests on the ice, blissfully unaware. Step by step, the bear draws closer, quiet, deliberate. And then, the strike comes from beneath the ice. Astonishingly, she catches it. Though small, the seal's fat holds up to 100,000 calories, enough to sustain her for a week. A precious victory in a brutal landscape. But summer is approaching, and each hunt will cost her more energy. She knows this cannot be the last. In a world where every creature fights to survive each day, patience is the key to endurance. And the next hunt may have already begun. A wandering bear approaches the edge of wolf territory not to provoke, but its hunting instincts are undeniable, especially with vulnerable pups in the pack. Storm, the alpha female, wastes no time. Alongside other mature wolves, she charges forward, surrounding and intimidating the intruder. Caught off guard, the bear backs away, confused. It hadn't expected such fierce resistance from creatures so much smaller. But not a single wolf retreats, because behind them lies the future of their kind. The confrontation lasts only minutes, yet it reveals something profound. In nature, the instinct to protect one's young is a force more powerful than size or strength. In the harsh world of the wild, courage isn't always measured by might, but by what one is willing to defend. During the bustling caribou migration, the wild comes alive with motion, thousands of hooves crossing the frozen northern plains. For a grizzly, this isn't just a hunting opportunity, it's a feast if it can catch one. A massive bear lurks at the edge of the herd's flow. Its eyes scan the galloping masses. It picks a target, a young, straggling caribou. The bear charges fueled by sheer power and determination. But on flat, open ground, speed favours the caribou. The chase becomes a contest between strength and agility. Wind howls past low shrubs. Powdered snow swirls in the chaos. The caribou surges ahead, vanishing back into the herd. This time the bear fails. But summer is just beginning, and its hunt will go on until the Arctic once again freezes over. In nature, hunger isn't always rewarded, but the will to survive never stops. On the steep cliffs of the mighty Rocky Mountains, a young grizzly barely 2 years old sets out on its first solo hunt, hungry and without its mother for the first time. While driving through the field region, the filmmaker's wife spotted a rare sight. A mature mountain goat, a species rarely seen at lower elevations during summer, standing still before an inexperienced predator. The young grizzly crept closer. Still green and hesitant, it moved forward, driven by instinct more than skill. The goat, wrapped in a thick, two-layered coat not yet shed for summer, didn't flee. It stood confidently on the rocky terrain it knew so well. The encounter was brief. The bear lacked the confidence to attack. The goat, watchful but unshaken, slowly turned and disappeared behind a nearby boulder. No clash, no chase. But in that quiet moment, nature whispered a lesson. Not every encounter ends in violence. For the young and untested, survival sometimes begins with restraint. Along the banks of the Yellowstone River, the body of a bull elk lay still at the water's edge, the aftermath of a previous hunt. 881. An old male grizzly, nearly 2 decades shaped by the wild, quietly pulled the remains of the carcass from the frigid water. There was no chase, no conflict, just calm and the certainty of one who knows the rules of the wild. On the damp gravel bar, 881 didn't need to flaunt his strength. Experience itself was the silent shield that preserved his place. In a world where every step leaves a trace, it's sometimes wisdom, not force, that defines who survives. A massive bear emerged, roaring in an attempt to intimidate. But the wolf pack stood firm, closing in from multiple directions. Quick, coordinated bites to its hind legs and flanks threw the bear off balance. Despite its size and power, it was forced to retreat in disarray. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a lesson in survival through unity. In the wild, strength alone is never enough. Sometimes it's strategy and teamwork that win the day. On a rocky slope in the mountains, a cougar lay motionless in a clearing, ears alert, but its body relaxed as if resting after a long journey. From higher up, a grizzly bear appeared, not rushing, but moving with purpose, every step deliberate, every movement assured. As the bear approached, the cougar sprang to its feet. No growl, no resistance, just instinct. It turned and bolted in the opposite direction. No clash, no noise, only a silent moment where both understood their limits. In the wilderness of the highlands, sometimes the wisest choice is to avoid a fight altogether. On a dusty road in Ranthambore National Park, a sloth bear ambled along calm, unaware that danger was closing in. From behind, a tiger crept forward, at first just observing, but then the distance closed and the bear sensed something was wrong. Suddenly the bear spun around. It didn't run, it fought back. Caught off guard, the tiger backed off, but the bear didn't stop. It roared and charged, sending a clear warning. The tiger fled toward its companion, another tiger resting nearby. But as the bear approached, both backed away. The dominance had vanished, replaced by caution. The bear paused, reared up on its hind legs, and let out one final roar, marking its space. Then slowly it turned and walked away. No fight, no blood, just presence. Sometimes sheer resolve is all it takes to defend peace. In the frozen forests of northern Europe, a wolverine picked up the scent of a carcass. With jaws strong enough to crush bone, it wasted no time beginning its feast. But the harsh calls of ravens signaled something was coming. A large bear emerged, a giant capable of devouring over 90 pounds of meat in one sitting. But this giant was alone. And in Scandinavia's dense woods, isolation can be dangerous. A pack of wolves arrived 10 strong, led by an alpha pair. They didn't attack. Instead, they circled, applying silent pressure. One wolf drew attention away from the carcass. The bear didn't give up. With a low growl, it grabbed what remained and withdrew. The wolves shared the scraps. Here, victory didn't go to the strongest, but to those who waited and worked together.
The bear's claws and teeth can't penetrate a thick hide.
In the thick fog of a frozen island, a lone polar bear quietly made its way toward the coastline. After days of starvation, it had no choice but to take a risk, where massive prey lay resting. The walrus herd sensed the threat. They tightened their formation, thick hides and foot-thick layers of blubber forming an impenetrable wall. The bear probed the defenses, but the living fortress didn't budge. It spotted a female guarding her calf, a potential weak point. But the bear couldn't pierce the armored skin, while tusks as sharp as spears stood ready to strike back. Every twist of a walrus's body shoved the bear away from its prize. Undeterred, the bear tried its luck with another target, but each attempt failed. The massive bodies slipped out of reach, surprising in both agility and resistance. Its final chance faded. The herd slid back into the sea, a domain the bear could not follow. On the cold, barren shore, the polar bear stood alone, exhausted. In the harsh reality of the Arctic, even the largest land predator can find itself powerless. Amid the vast expanse of snow and ice, a white shadow moved in silence. It was a female polar bear, gaunt from hunger, but her eyes burned with resolve. At this time of year, only 1 in 20 hunts ends in success. But failure isn't an option. She must continue. To stay undetected, the bear circles wide, using the wind to mask her scent. Up ahead, a seal rests on the ice, blissfully unaware. Step by step, the bear draws closer, quiet, deliberate. And then the strike comes from beneath the ice. Astonishingly, she catches it. Though small, the seal's fat holds up to 100,000 calories, enough to sustain her for a week. A precious victory in a brutal landscape. But summer is approaching, and each hunt will cost her more energy. She knows this cannot be the last. In a world where every creature fights to survive each day, patience is the key to endurance. And the next hunt may have already begun.
It's only small, but even so, its rubber alone will contain 100,000 calories, enough to sustain this bear for a week. She might even catch another. Draining the bears of their reserves.
A quiet corner of a river deep in the Alaskan wilderness. But beneath that calm surface lies one of nature's fiercest trials. Thousands of salmon begin their final journey leaping upstream to spawn. It's their destiny, and the moment grizzly bears have awaited for 10 long months. Mature males battle for the best position right at the edge of the waterfall. From here, they can snatch salmon in mid-air as they burst from the water. The competition is ruthless, only the strongest claim this hunting throne. One mother bear has waited through the long winter. She's not alone, her cub stands beside her. But hunger presses hard, and instinct begins to outweigh even maternal bonds. The first meal is so critical that sometimes even mother and cub fight over it. The salmon leap in waves, testing the predator's position, but a single wrong launch, and they fall right into a waiting jaw. The falls aren't tall, but they mark a deadly boundary. The bear holds the upper hand, but the salmon have numbers. In the end, each jump is a gamble. Some are caught, but hundreds more make it through. No matter the danger, nature always leaves a path for life to carry on. One leap can decide a fate. On a wind-blown rocky plateau, a mother puma makes her move driven by hunger, but more so by the eyes waiting behind her, hungry for their first real meal. She's thin, weakened by scarcity, but her gaze burns with one unshakable purpose: feed her cubs. Standing in her way is a guanaco large alert, a fortress of flesh and bone. But the puma won't back down. Behind her lies Hope bloodline and the reason she survives. She launches like a living arrow, cutting through the brittle grass. Her eyes lock onto the neck, the only weakness on the towering prey. But this isn't just a test of strength. It's a gamble between desperation and instinct, seconds and survival, all while 3 young cubs watch from a distance. The hunt fails. The guanaco escapes. She collapses, panting in the mountain wind. The cubs quietly gather beside her. No cries, no complaint, just silent encouragement. In this barren, frozen land, it isn't claws or muscle that command respect, but the sheer resilience of a mother. And sometimes, that alone is enough to make the wild stand still. If this moment moved, you hit like and subscribe, and join us as we uncover more stories of survival spirit and the miracles of nature. An ambush without violence. A coordinated strike that silences the sea. This isn't just a hunt, it's a symphony of instinct, strategy, and lethal silence. On a thin sheet of drifting ice, a seal lies motionless. All seems calm. But beneath the frigid surface, waves of precision are gathering. No splashes, no warning. Only the cold patience of a plan about to unfold. Killer whales, the silent hunters, are ready. They are not mere predators, they are tacticians. Led by a seasoned matriarch, the pod moves as one. Each member must earn a seal a day to survive. And when the ocean locks beneath ice, every mistake costs dearly. Commands aren't spoken, they ripple through the waves. The pod dives in unison, sending targeted surges toward the seal's platform, the iceberg itself. The ice shudders. The seal slides closer to the edge. No touch, no teeth, just the power of water and physics. Tails slap with rhythm perfectly timed. A liquid orchestra of movement. At last, the balance breaks. The seal in panic slips from its sanctuary. A splash, then stillness. The sea falls silent again. But beneath, there's perfect choreography where instinct meets intelligence in harmony. In this frozen world, survival doesn't belong to the strongest, but to those who coordinate, calculate, and wait. That is the mark of true mastery. Cub 1-year-old, old enough to begin learning survival but still too young to hunt alone. Below, a female markhor grazes. When the mountains fall silent beneath a blanket of snow, a single warm river keeps flowing. And there, a creature gambles everything to survive. Early morning in the snow-covered peaks. The world is hushed and white except for a strange stream kept warm by volcanic springs. Along its edge, a bobcat moves silently. It's hungry. In this place, water means life because it never freezes. Many species gather here. Birds, martins, coyotes, all learning to fish. But bobcats hate cold water. It won't risk a mistake. It waits for certainty. A flock of golden-eyed ducks floats near the bank. Tempting, but not close enough. The bobcat waits, evaluates, then backs off. Plan B. It climbs up a slope following the rising warmth from the stream. In the trees, there might be squirrels. The branches are 6 meters high, but it tries anyway. Carefully it climbs. Every twig trembles under its weight. Then a squirrel appears. Not a feast, but enough to survive another day. Winter in the mountains isn't for the impatient. Only those who wait, who choose their moment, endure. And the bobcat with its silent persistence is proof of that. A roaring waterfall deep in the wilderness. In the frozen forests of pounds of meat in one sitting. But this giant was alone. And in Scandinavia's dense woods, isolation can be dangerous. A pack of wolves arrived 10 strong, led by an alpha pair. They didn't attack. Instead, they circled, applying silent pressure. One wolf drew attention away from the carcass. The bear didn't give up. With a low growl, it grabbed what remained and withdrew. The wolves shared the scraps. Here, victory didn't go to the strongest, but to those who waited and worked together. A wandering bear approaches the edge of wolf territory not to provoke, but its hunting instincts are undeniable, especially with vulnerable pups in the pack. Storm, the alpha female, wastes no time. Alongside other mature wolves, she charges forward, surrounding and intimidating the intruder. Caught off guard, the bear backs away confused. It hadn't expected such fierce resistance from creatures so much smaller. But not a single wolf retreats, because behind them lies the future of their kind. The confrontation lasts only minutes, yet it reveals something profound. In nature, the instinct to protect one's young is a force more powerful than size or strength. In the harsh world of the wild, courage isn't always measured by might, but by what one is willing to defend. During the bustling caribou migration, the wild comes alive with motion, thousands of hooves crossing the frozen northern plains. For a grizzly, this isn't just a hunting opportunity, it's a feast if it can catch one. A massive bear lurks at the edge of the herd's flow. Its eyes scan the galloping masses. It picks a target, a young, straggling caribou. The bear charges, fueled by sheer power and determination. But on flat, open ground, speed favours the caribou. The chase becomes a contest between strength and agility. Wind howls past low shrubs. Powdered snow swirls in the chaos. The caribou surges ahead, vanishing back into the herd. This time the bear fails. But summer is just beginning, and its hunt will go on until the Arctic once again freezes over. In nature, hunger isn't always rewarded, but the will to survive never stops. A peaceful morning at a lake in Glacier National Park was suddenly shattered. A mother moose wading through the cool shallows was caught off guard. A grizzly bear emerged from the dense tree line. It crept toward the water with measured steps, but the moose mother quickly sensed danger. Without hesitation, she turned and charged. With rare tenacity, she drove the bear into a full retreat. The chase surged toward the roadside, startling nearby tourists. The grizzly bolted across the road, plunged down a watery embankment, and vanished into the distance, never once looking back. It wasn't just a fierce counterattack. It was a display of wild maternal power, a mother willing to risk everything to protect her young. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe and ring the bell to be the first to witness the next untold chapter, where every creature has a story and every heartbeat leaves a memory. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about how this video was presented? We'd love to hear from you. Next time, maybe you won't just be watching. You might feel the wild rhythm of nature itself.
Oh,